Hey everyone, it's Sergio with the RideShare Guy. Welcome to another episode of Behind the Wheel. Today I'm joined by Will from Boston, Massachusetts, and I felt compelled to do this story because of a lot of requests that we did receive when Lyft got rid of the Lux platform. Okay. And I think it's a very timely story, and Will, was pretty creative when it comes to losing his Lyft Lux business, but now I think he's on to frying bigger fish. But with all that said, welcome, Will.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So introduce yourself a little bit, what you do, if rideshare is your full-time gig or part-time, and how many years you've been doing it, trips, etc.
Hi, I'm Will. I drive for Uber and Lyft, actually part-time. Full-time, I actually teach English. I teach fifth, sixth, seventh grade English. I've been doing Lyft and Uber for about 9.5 years now. I've given 10,000 rides with Lyft and Uber about 3,000, I think. So, a good amount of rides. It's great part-time. I love doing it part-time. But yeah, it's been great.
Okay. What kind of car do you drive?
I drive a Tesla Model Y.
Tesla Model Y. Do you own it, leasing it, renting it? What are you doing with it?
I own it. I bought it brand new. I have had it for about a year now. And it's a great car to drive. I mean, I don't pay gas. I mean, it drives really well. I've had no issues with it.
Right. So as soon as you bought the car a year ago, you said you've been on the platform for about 9 years, 9.5 years with thousands of trips. You moved to electric. Obviously, I'm assuming you were with a gas vehicle before then.
Yeah, and I had a Honda CRV before I had my Tesla, and then I had a Ford Escape. So I've been through three cars, but I kind of, I've been in a couple Teslas before, and I love how the Tesla operates. It drives great, and I was honestly sick and tired of paying for gas.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I have it. It's a really great car.
Yeah. I always tell people I think Tesla Model Y. We're going to get into the color of it in a minute, but I think it's probably the best rideshare car because you can do higher platforms, right? So when you bought your Tesla for a while, at least I would say 9 months or a year almost, so you were both on Uber and Lyft, right? And you were able to do higher platforms. Were you able to do higher platforms on Uber as well, like comfort and things like that?
Yeah. So well on Lyft I was able to do Lux and Lyft and Preferred when they had it, but and I was really I before I had my Tesla I was only doing Uber, but when I got my Tesla I switched to Lyft exclusively because of the Lux platform. I was able to do Uber Comfort on the Tesla with Uber and Uber Green, but it just wasn't as high paying as Lux, and that is why I'm just exclusively moved to Lyft.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we know the story, right? Lyft in their wisdom. I don't know what these people think, to be honest with you. They wanted to compete with Uber Comfort, right? And then they brought along their extra comfort now, which is literally no different than a regular standard Lyft ride. But they also reshuffled the car platform, right? I mean, I was looking at that the other day. They are telling you as the owner of a Model Y and new Model Y to go do comfort trips, which pay like standard, which is literally 40%, 50% less than Lyft Lux, right? And that's why you did 10,000 Lyft trips. I mean, bulk of it was probably Lux, right?
Yeah. So yeah, pretty much that's the reason I did it because of when Lyft downgraded me to only Lyft and Comfort, I couldn't do. I just felt like my Tesla Model Y was too nice to be doing regular standard trips with. And I like I've seen the extra comfort on the passenger app, and it's like only $2 or $3 more than
Yeah.
like a regular Lyft. So it just to me it wasn't worth it. So actually for a little bit I actually went back to Uber. I did some Uber Comfort because I noticed that with Uber Comfort it paid me a little bit more than extra comfort.
Yeah.
So I was doing Uber, regular trips, while Lux was gone. But I kind of wanted to move up and start doing black.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So you live in, okay, this interview, you guys, I'm sure by the thousands are going to watch this. We are definitely not telling anybody to go repeat what Will is going to talk about in a minute to do what he did. Now we're going to talk about all the process. He's in Boston, Massachusetts. In every city, I'm pretty sure, or state, the rules are going to be different. There are going to be various, roadblocks in front of you guys. But this worked for him in Boston, Massachusetts. I cannot reiterate this enough. Do not go repeat what Will did until you do your due diligence, because I don't want to hear later, oh, you told me to do this, but didn't work. I'm like, no, I'm not telling anybody to do anything. Now, if you're in Boston, if you have a Model Y like Will did, I'm pretty sure you can duplicate what he did. But if you're in LA or if you're in Atlanta, don't copy what he did before you check with the companies about what we're about to talk about. So, you saw Lyft income for you go down, but what, 30, 40, 50% when they stopped Lux?
yeah, yeah, it was noticeable, and you know, I honestly about that I would say about 30 or 40% because I was making like 50, $60 for like a 25-minute trip,
Yeah,
in my market with Lux. And then just to be downgraded to standard Lyft, I was like, I really don't know if I can do Lyft anymore, if I'm like not able to do these higher platforms because it just wasn't making much sense to me,
yeah,
to be driving around with regular Lyft with my
yeah.
Tesla. It was too nice of a car.
Yeah, actually, I saw you on EV Money with Gabe and Chris. That's when kind of lightning bolt went in my head saying, wait a minute, this guy is doing a Model Y. He's thinking of doing what he's doing. So, here we are doing our interview, informing our audience. So walk us through now. You one day you decided, I want to do Lyft Black, which is the higher platform, and you want to do Uber Black, which is the higher platform, right? But
Yeah.
what color was your car originally?
Uh, Silver. It was a silver Tesla Model Y, and obviously my car was on the list of approved black vehicles, but it needed to be black inside and outside. I had the inside; it's inside black, but it wasn't black outside of the car. Yeah.
Right. So what did you do? Tell us, walk us through.
So I first looked up my regulations in my city, which is in Boston, obviously. In Boston, you need two things. You need livery insurance and commercial insurance, and you need actually, there's a lot of different things you need in Boston, and livery insurance is one of them. There's a bunch of other documents that you need, and I actually had reached out to some of my black driver friends who told me how to get on black because it isn't as easy as just making the color of your car black. There is a lot of things you need to do in order to get on black, but one of them is livery insurance. Another one of the things that you needed to do was to go into your local town hall and get a business certificate, which involves going to the clerk there and asking for a business certificate and then filling out your information and a bunch of other various things that you need to do. But the big one was getting the commercial insurance and the business certificate. And commercial insurance is more expensive. I was paying about $1,500 for my regular insurance, but now I'm paying like 6,000. So it's a lot pricey. It's more expensive, obviously. But I'm hoping in the next couple of months with the trips that I can do with Black now, it will make up for the cost of my car to get it changed to black, the wrap, which was $4,000, and my commercial insurance, which was 6,000. So I'm hoping, over time I can pay myself back by me being able to do Lux Black and regular Uber Black. Yeah.
Uber Black. Yeah. So again, look, I mean, he just said that, I think that was a great point he made, which was he went and talked to other drivers who are doing black, meaning Uber Black and Lyft Black. This is always what we say, find drivers in your city, learn from them, right? And he obviously watches us and did exactly what we always say, because each city has different regulations, different rules. And this has nothing to do with Uber or Lyft specifically. These are city rules, right? Or state rules that you have to follow. And he did exactly the right thing. He went and found himself a couple of drivers who are already on these platforms, and they probably helped them out, walked them through. So now you went and got your car wrapped. It's black, right? How easy or difficult was it to get approved on the platforms for you to be able to do Lux Black, or not Lux Black anymore, Lyft Black and Uber Black?
Yeah, so actually pretty easy with Lyft. Lyft, all I did was literally send them a message on Twitter and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna get my car wrapped. Is there any kind of like rule? Does the car need to be factory black, like in order to like make it, to the Lux Black platform?" And all they said was, "No, so long as your car is black, you are okay." So I send them a picture of my car, and then they change it on the app to black, and then easy, done. Already on black. I had Lux Black as an option, and that was it. With Uber, on the other hand, Uber actually, for both Uber and Lyft, you both need commercial insurance.
Right.
But Uber, on the other hand, was a little bit more difficult because in Boston, they only have like a certain amount of drivers that can drive black.
Yeah.
They have like a cap on the number of drivers. So actually, I was put on the wait list for about like two months. And I was waiting, but while I was waiting to get on Uber Black, I could do Lyft Black while I was waiting. Yeah.
Yeah. So when did you get the car wrapped? How long ago was it?
About a month and a half ago, 2 months ago.
Month and a half ago. So you found a reputable,
Yep.
dealer or whatever they do, and you went and got the car black. We're going to show actually his car's pictures on Show Me the Money Club shortly, probably in one of the episodes. It came out really great looking. And so you spent $4,000 on that. Now you have commercial insurance, which you need to do both Uber Black and Lyft Black, right? Now that's a massive expense that you incurred. I mean, if you add the 6,000, let's say you do it for a year. If you add 6,000 to the four, you spent $10,000 out of pocket, right? Obviously, you did it hoping, well, more than hope actually, thinking that you're going to get return on your money, and hopefully you will recover all that and be profitable outside that. How is it going? I mean, now you're on both Lyft Black and Uber Black, right? How's the demand in your city for these types of upper platforms? What are you seeing?
It's obviously, it's not as busy as a regular Lyft. But when the black rides come, they pay. So I think it really is, it's going pretty good. Driving black is hard because you have to find like different times of the day that would work for black, not necessarily just like regular Lyft. So, what might be a busier time for regular Lyft might not be a busy time for black.
Yeah.
So I'm still like trying to figure out the best times to drive. But it's actually going pretty good. So, for example, yesterday I made like $200 in like 2.5 hours, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Obviously better than what you could do with the regular Lyft.
That would have taken it all day probably.
Yeah, exactly. So, it is lucrative. You just have to be patient in terms of finding the rides, because they're not just going to like show up like every second with Uber and Lyft. They're gonna it's gonna take you longer, but the rides will be better. So
well, yeah, I mean, the other thing you may have to look into is that, the rhythm for the black customer, right, may be different, right? Because they may be doing a lot more early morning airport trips, right? You have to position yourself differently. You may have to position yourself in front of, let's say, a row of high-end, either restaurants or hotels, right? That's the travel that when they go out, they may order it. So I think you need to relearn your game probably, but I'm pretty sure you're a smart guy. You'll figure that out.
Yeah.
The other thing that like, give me like an example of that $200 day trip, and how many trips was that?
So I did that in about like 4 trips,
Okay.
actually. My first ride of the day took about 45, 50 minutes from outside Boston to in Boston. It paid me about $100. That's with
Yeah.
a $15 tip.
Yeah.
So 85, but he tipped 15. So I got $100 for like
Yeah.
45 minutes of my time.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's lucrative. And then I had a 9 minute ride for $40 to the
Wow.
airport.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, I can tell obviously the rewards are there. You just got to learn, your market a little bit. It's a relearning process, which I'm sure you'll figure out. So would you say so far with what you've experienced, I know it's new, only a couple of months in, do you think you will recoup that $10,000 this year? We're not looking to make additional money on top of the 10, but if you just drive on the weekends alone, right? And if you have days like $200 days in couple 3 hours, right? And if you're driving Saturday, Sunday only because you have a regular W-2, as you said, I mean, if you can pull in maybe $400-500 a weekend, right? And there is 50 weeks, I mean, it may work out for you.
yeah. From what I've seen is that these rides can pay, and actually it feels like so refreshing to being able to do these higher platforms, because once I went from regular Lyft to Lux and I saw how Lux was, I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to go back to regular Lyft. Like
Yep.
this is paying me so good. Why in the heck would I ever go back to regular Lyft? I think that I can do it. Like if I can make $200 in 2 hours,
Yeah.
I think I could, if I drove the entire day, I think I could probably make, like, you're right, Sergio, like $500
Yeah.
in a day. $500 days probably are not that easy. It would involve you working a lot of hours, but you
Yeah.
could probably make $500 like in maybe about 6 hours, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So I think you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think,
looking at what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. Obviously,
yeah.
hours equal earnings. A lot of people think, I want to work 4 hours and make $500. It's not going to happen in regular anyway. But one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, I mean, now that you have commercial insurance, right? Your car is black, and the gray car, black inside, black outside. You're on the platforms. See, a lot of people say, oh, I want to do private trips now without having commercial insurance, without having all the proper licensing, right? And all it will take for them is one accident, or, that you poached a customer from the Uber or Lyft platform, and you're doing a private trip, and one accident, your life is over because you're not covered for any of it, right? Are you going to look into doing some private trips as well? Because you're covered. You have the commercial insurance.
Yes. So I've spoken with some friends. Apparently, the private trips are harder to find. They have told me that sometimes you can get them through Uber and Lyft. The passenger might be willing to, convert if you have, if they want to. I am looking to find some private rides. I'm even maybe looking, maybe my friends can hook me up with some private customers. But I'm just gonna kind of just like let it roll, let it come to me. Not trying too hard for the private customers, because if I try too hard, I feel like it's gonna fail.
Right.
So yes, definitely. If one comes around, totally, I'm gonna start doing that. But as of right now, I'll just kind of have to see how it goes. But
Yeah, I
yes,
mean, if I
definitely.
can give you any advice, right? Doing this for 8 years, you're,
Yep.
more of a veteran than me. But as a business, right, it wouldn't hurt at all to just print some cards, right?
Yeah.
And then pass it around, or go to some of these high-end hotels, right? Pass your cards around to the concierge, because these are the people who are going to fix rides for all the people that come in town for them at higher end cars, right? I mean, you can do minimal things and then improve your private ride business, which again, I'm only saying this because he is covered. He's got the full coverage, commercial insurance, and he may actually want to take the next step and create an LLC for himself and create a completely different business and go that route. But I like his attitude. I like your attitude about don't push it. You know, you just got the car wrapped. Let's get your feet wet with Uber Black and Lux Black or Lyft Black now. Then, you know, you'll figure your way out. So, I mean, you know, I appreciate you doing this because I think this is a major, major problem that became a problem for a lot of friends of mine. I'm in Los Angeles. They all have Tesla Model Ys, but they're white or they're gray and they all fell down. And now they're looking at like doing a 10-mile, $40 Lux trip to 10-mile, $11 comfort trip. I'm going like, that's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So for all the people who are watching this interview, go check it. Go check in your city. Go check what Uber and Lyft, what the regulations are, how easily you can convert to a higher platform on Lyft and Uber. So, Will, I thank you for doing this, but I'll give you the last couple of minutes. Give our audience some advice about what you went through, and then if you're happy with it, and then, but in general, any advice is much appreciated.
So the one thing I want to say is when Lux went away, I was like, I was so disappointed. I can't begin to tell you how I felt. I was like, are you kidding me? Lyft is making me do, you know, comfort and regular Lyft trips with, you know, my Tesla. Like I felt like stuck. I was like, how am I going to get out of this one? Like, you know, it is actually quite helpful that my car was already on the list of approved black vehicles.
Yeah.
And literally, I didn't need to go out and spend like a $40,000 or $50,000 car just to do black. I only needed to spend $4,000. So for anyone that, you know, is on Lyft and Uber and has a black approved vehicle, I don't know what, you know, your life looks like or anything like that, but it is good. It can pay. And I think, you know, this is a good way out of doing regular Uber and Lyft trips. And for anyone that can afford to do so, I think that this is a really good, you know, way to make more money. And you know, as Sergio said, I just started, so there's still a lot to learn about the black game. But I'm hoping that, you know, down the road, I will be better at, you know, kind of figuring out what a good black trip looks like and what a not a good black trip looks like, because they all look really good,
Yeah.
obviously, because it pays more than a standard ride. But I think what I'm going to learn is that you if you start to see some patterns with the black game, you know, you could be like, oh, well, I won't take this, or oh, I won't take this for X, X, and X reasons, because it's too long or whatever. But I think that for anyone, especially the full-time drivers out there, like you got this. Like if your car is on the list of approved black vehicles, like you know, go out and do it, because you'll be making a lot of money and you'll be probably a lot happier. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
that's my advice.
I couldn't agree with you more. And you know, here's Will from Boston, Massachusetts. He felt betrayed, obviously, for a while, but then, as resourceful as drivers are, which we all have to be these days, they zig, we have to zag, right? And that game will never change. And what did he do? He was, you know, he figured it out. He figured out how he can do it. He researched it. Again, please research it in your city with your rules and regulations. Don't just depend on Uber, please. Okay. And you know, follow all the regulations, follow all the laws. Well, he did it, Will did it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people can follow his lead and do it. And you know, earn more money, because you can't just depend on these companies changing the rules on you all the time, because look, this proved it. We have no control. We have zero control in this game. They can do whatever they want, but we have control in what we can do, and Will is a proof of that and testament of that. Again, buddy, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. You know, be safe out there and keep us posted how it's going, right?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Sergio, for having me on, man. I appreciate you.
You got you. Thanks for watching this episode of Behind the Wheel on the RideShare Guy. We've been doing these interviews for the past 6 months with very successful drivers from different cities around the nation. Click here for another episode. Make sure you subscribe and turn on all notifications for other episodes of Behind the Wheel, as well as amazing content on our channel.